They told everyone I gave up. They said I was too quiet, too soft-spoken, too forgettable, invisible in a world that rewards the loud. I wasn't failing, I was just learning in silence, waiting for the moment when the noise would tire itself out, and finally, they'd hear me. They didn't know the quiet ones watch everything. We notice the cracks in people's voices, the tremble in their hands before they say, "I'm fine." We listen. And in sales, listening is everything. But back then, they only saw what I wasn't. I'm Harper Blake, 29. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. And this is the story of how I went from the too quiet girl to the one everyone now wants to learn from. Growing up, I was supposed to be a pediatrician. That was the path. My mom would beam whenever someone asked what I wanted to be. "She's going to be a doctor," she'd say, her southern drawl stretching the word like it was already stitched on a white coat. No one ever asked me if that's what I wanted, and I didn't know how to say no. I got into Duke. Pre-med. First in the family. Everything looked perfect from the outside, but inside, the pressure crushed me, day by day. Anatomy labs made my chest tighten. I'd stare at bones and think, I'm breaking instead. Second semester, I failed organic chemistry. That's when the silence started. "She's just taking a break," my dad said at a barbecue. My cousin looked away like I had died. "We don't talk about that anymore," my aunt whispered on the phone. I moved back home and got a part-time job at a mall kiosk selling phone cases. No one cared enough to ask what I was doing. It was easier to believe I was lost. But here's the thing about starting from scratch. Sometimes you get to find something that was never even on the map. I started again. Quietly. Privately. Almost like I was rebuilding myself in secret. And not one person noticed. It started with a folding table, a few cheap brochures, and a dusty corner of the mall's second floor. I was selling phone plans now. Not even the good ones, just the budget carrier nobody had heard of. Customers barely made eye contact. I was just another girl behind a counter, too quiet to care about. At first, it felt meaningless. Scripted pitches. Rejections every 5 minutes. But something shifted when I stopped trying to be sleazy and just started listening. One afternoon, a woman in her 60s walked up, holding a crumpled bill in her hand. "I don't get all this," she muttered. "My son says I need unlimited data. I just want to see my grandbaby's photos." She looked exhausted, like the world was sprinting past her and she was stuck waving from the sidewalk. I took a deep breath and sat beside her. Opened the brochure slowly. Didn't push. Just explained. Gently. Like I was talking to my own grandmother. 30 minutes later, she smiled. A real, toothy smile that cracked her tiredness wide open. "You brought my baby into my living room," she said, clutching her new phone. I haven't seen her in weeks. It didn't make headlines. No confetti. No bonus check. But it mattered. After that, I stopped worrying about quotas. I focused on people. On their confusion, their hesitations, their quiet hopes buried under layers of, "I'm just browsing." And that's when I started to feel it. Purpose, not applause. Clarity, not chaos. No one saw it coming. Not even me. Sales grew. Slowly at first, then suddenly, it surged. The quiet girl at the back of the mall was topping charts no one thought I even had access to. By month 5, I was closing more accounts than the entire downtown team combined. We were onboarding over 300 new customers a month, on prepaid plans most reps said weren't worth the effort. My manager, Kevin, pulled me aside one day, eyes wide. "Harper, how are you doing this?" I didn't have an answer he'd understand, because I wasn't doing anything flashy. I just listened. I asked questions and actually waited for the answers. I didn't sell phones. I sold understanding. By the end of the year, I was promoted twice, moved into regional accounts, led training calls for new hires. I created a framework that focused less on pitches and more on patterns, emotional cues, body language, hesitations. Our conversion rate jumped from 32% to 61%. Customer complaints? Down by nearly 80%. I flew to Chicago to present our new approach to senior leadership. People clapped. Some took notes. A VP even offered to mentor me. But back home? Crickets. At Thanksgiving dinner, my uncle asked if I was still at the mall. When I explained I'd moved into national sales and was running coaching for multiple teams, he just nodded and said, "Teaching old folks to click buttons? Real noble work." My mom chimed in later. "Harper's always been the free spirit." Free spirit. That was code for, "We still don't take her seriously." No one asked about the conference. No one mentioned the awards. No one saw me differently. Success had happened. Loud, measurable, undeniable success. But to my family, I was still the girl who didn't finish med school. I kept showing up, at work and at family dinners, smiling, nodding, carrying the weight of invisible proof. Part of me still wanted their recognition. The other part was too busy building a future that didn't depend on it. It was a Thursday, late October. I was at a corporate sales conference in Dallas. Sleek suits, overpriced coffee, and that familiar echo of voices trying to sound more important than they felt. I'd just wrapped my presentation, The Human Method, selling through listening. It went well. I knew it did. But the applause always felt quieter than the silence I got back home. I was standing near the espresso cart when a man approached me, mid-30s, clean-shaven, sharp eyes, navy suit. "You're Harper, right?" I nodded, a little guarded. "Yeah, that's me." He held out his hand. "Jake. I work with LifeBridge Telecom, marketing division." "Nice to meet you," I said, shaking it politely. But then something changed in his expression, like something clicked. His voice dropped into something more personal. "You started in that mall kiosk, didn't you? Brentwood Center?" I blinked. "Yeah, how do you know that?" He pulled out his phone, scrolled to a photo. My mom. This was taken last Christmas. I looked down and gasped. It was her. The older woman with silver hair and kind eyes. The same woman I'd helped nearly 2 years ago, who just wanted to see her grandkids' photos. She was sitting on a couch, grinning ear to ear, 2 toddlers in her lap, FaceTiming someone. Jake continued. "She still talks about you. You made her feel seen. Said you were the only person who didn't treat her like she was stupid. You gave her back her voice." I swallowed hard. My throat tightened. "She told me," he said, eyes now glassy, "that you were quiet, but that your quiet made her feel safe." I smiled, a little embarrassed. I just helped her understand her phone. Jake shook his head. "You did more than that. She started calling us more, laughing more. She felt connected again. You know what she said to me once?" I shook my head. She said, "That quiet girl in the mall gave me back my family." Silence. Thick. Heavy. Beautiful. "I didn't know it was you until I saw your name on the speaker list," Jake added. "But I had to find you, just to say thank you." I wanted to say something back. Something eloquent. Something perfect. But I just nodded, holding back tears. That moment was louder than any standing ovation I'd ever gotten. Jake smiled softly and said, "You probably don't realize it, but that one moment, that was legacy-level work." He walked away before I could respond. And I just stood there, still, rooted in something I'd never felt before, confirmation. Not because I demanded attention, not because I chased validation, but because the truth walked in by itself and refused to stay quiet. A week after the conference, I got a letter in the mail, handwritten, from my mom. We weren't a writing things down kind of family, so my hands trembled just unfolding it. "I watched your Dallas speech. Emily forwarded me the link. I didn't understand all the business parts, but I saw the way people looked at you. I just wanted you to know. I see it now. I see you." That was all. No grand apology. No overcorrection. Just recognition. I didn't cry. I didn't frame it. I didn't show it off. I just folded it back up and placed it in my journal. Not because it made me whole, but because I finally realized I already was. My brother called not long after. "Hey," he said, awkwardly. "Mom told me about the thing in Dallas. You're kind of a big deal now, huh?" I laughed, softly. "Depends who you ask." There was a pause. Then he said, "Well, I'm proud of you, Harp. That meant something. Not everything, but something. I went back to work the next day. Same office, same coffee mug, same quiet rhythm. But something had shifted. People still underestimated me at first glance. They still talked over me in meetings. But I no longer needed to raise my voice to be heard. I had built something that spoke for itself. And it wasn't pride. It was peace. If you've ever been called too quiet, too soft-spoken, too gentle for this loud, demanding world, this story was for you. You don't need to shout to be powerful. You don't need to change who you are to make change in others. The truth is, your stillness might be someone else's shelter. Your silence might be the only place they feel safe. I used to think my voice had to echo to be real. Now I know, impact doesn't always come with applause. So, where are you watching from? What have you been told you can't do? I'd love to hear your story. Someone else might need it too. Because these quiet victories, they matter more than you know. Thanks for listening. And I'll be back soon with more stories that prove you don't have to be loud to be legendary.